Hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello, everyone. Test, test. Mic check 1, 2.
I hear you.
Hey, cool. People can hear me. This is great. Hello to Dawn and Sarah. Who else we got? Annabelle. Mark is here. Great. Anna Hopkins. I'm going to open up the chat window just to kind of start us chatting in there. And if you would like to just say where you're joining from, like what region of the country. I'm going to put Pittsburgh today, where I am coming from. And I'm going to go ahead and just mute people in general. But if you would like to use your audio, there's a button in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen where you'll be able to use that. So, hey, we've got someone coming in from Iowa. That's awesome. Don Miller from Tabor, Iowa. Hey, Mark, how's it going? Let me unmute you. Hey, how's it going, Mark?
Going well.
That's great. I'm so excited that we're going to get to hear from you a little bit about that literacy panel later on today.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to sharing it.
That's great. That's awesome. We'll give people a couple minutes to join in, and then we'll get started. Got Bedford, PA joining us. That's great. I'm also going to share this throughout, like I'm going to share it repeatedly throughout our time together today, but I'm going to share a Google Doc in that chat window. So if you want to open up that Google Doc, that's going to give you access to all of the cool resources and the things that Mark and I are going to talk about today. So there's links in there, there's a little agenda, all that kinds of stuff. So you can head over to that Google Doc at any point. All right, we got somebody coming in from Windsor, California. Very cool. We're just like representing the East, the Middle, and the West. This is great. And we're also recording this webinar tonight. So if there's somebody that you'd like to share it with that wasn't able to be here today, we'll send you that recording tomorrow so that you can email this out to anybody that you want to. So that's great. All right. Hello from Azores, Portugal. Hello, Portugal. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. That's really cool. I don't think I've ever had anyone tune in from Portugal before, but I'm glad that you're here. This is great. And again, I'm just going to periodically share that Google Doc over and over because like as people join, they can see the chat window from that point on. So just to kind of set some norms for us tonight as we're having this live stream, if you can keep your audio muted, unless you would like to say something, that would be great, just because that can be kind of noisy and weird. And then if you have any questions or anything, you can either unmute yourself and say, hey, this is so-and-so, and I have a quick question. Or you can always type it in the chat window as well. I have that up so that as people type things in the chat window, I can see that. But the idea of this webinar tonight is, ta-da, we're going to be talking about FETC 2020. And we're going to be talking about what BirdBrain is going to be doing at that conference, and also what some of our friends are going to be doing too, including Mark Gura with the Literacy PLN, the ISTE Literacy PLN. And so if I show you this Google Doc that we're all kind of getting on, I want to start off with a little icebreaker and some introductions of me and Mark. And then just kind of getting into like, what is FETC? What's BirdBrain if you've never really heard of us before? What's a robot? What do we make? I'll go over the two kinds of robots that we make, the Hummingbird and the Finch, and give you just a quick demo, especially of that Finch 2.0, because that's a brand new thing that we're premiering at FETC this year. We showed it at ISTE this past summer, but this will be the first FETC that we bring the Finch 2 robot. And then I'll be talking about all the different events that BirdBrain's going to be doing at FETC. Mark's going to talk about his events, and then we'll have some time for questions at the end. So to start off with, I actually want to go to this website. If you can use your smartphone, or if you're on a computer, if you just want to type in your browser window, menti.com. And if you put in these three numbers, 15, 44, 47, when it prompts you to, if everybody can do that, go to menti.com and put in those three numbers. It's going to ask you this question. which is, why do you think that it's important that we teach computer science? And I'd love for you to just pick your top 2 reasons why you think it's important. So there's a couple of, I think I've got maybe 8 different concepts in there about why you might think it's important to teach computer science. But I know that we have all kinds of different teachers joining us. So we might have some computer science teachers. We might have some technology integrators that work at that K-8 level or that high school level. We might have English teachers here. We might have all kinds of different teachers here joining us this evening. And so I think it's interesting to just start out and see why the people who are here think that it's important to teach computer science. So once you click your top 2 answers in that Menti, you can hit submit, and then your answers will come in live on this document here. I know for me, yeah, there we go. Somebody's submitted their answer. So we've got someone that says technological, social, and scientific innovation, and then that competencies and literacies piece. So like 21st century skills, grit, persistence, things like that. For me, I think my top answer for why I think it's important to teach computer science, nice, got a couple more sharing that opinion. For me, my top answer is equity. I think that computer science, like people say that education can be the great equalizer. I think computer science can be a really great equalizer. So I got into computer science. My background is actually as a middle school and high school English teacher, not a computer science teacher. And I started teaching this after school girls only STEM program about 5 years ago in Pittsburgh. And robotics was 2 weeks out of a whole year-long program that we did. We made note card towers and engineered lip gloss and glitter slime and all those kinds of things. And I saw my girls not be interested in some kinds of robots and some kinds of computer science and be really interested in other kinds of computer science. And so I find that myself as an educator, I was really interested in how to present computer science and robotics and technology in a way that would engage my particular girls, who were primarily African American, primarily from low socioeconomic status neighborhoods, primarily from the city. These were girls that didn't feel invited to the party of computer science and technology. And so I wanted to make sure to present that and find robotics and computer science solutions that they would be interested in. So it looks like people here are really interested in maybe those 21st century skills, and also the idea of like solving world problems using technology to do that. That's great. Well, so a quick introduction of myself, and then I'll give it over to Mark so he can introduce himself as well. So my name is Kelsey Derringer. I'm the Professional Development Coordinator for BirdBrain Technologies. So that means that I travel around the country, and I also come to you from this live stream learning studio in the basement of BirdBrain, and I teach teachers how to do coding and robotics. So yesterday I was just at a school, and I taught a workshop with high school teachers, middle school teachers, and also high school and middle school students, and we made parade floats. And we made a little robot rose parade. So if you want to check that out on Twitter, I'll give you my Twitter information later. And our robot Rose Bowl parade floats turned out so cool. So that's what I spend most of my time doing. I also help develop all of the online, digital, and printable learning materials for BirdBrain as well. But I would love to hand it over to Mark so he can introduce himself. Go ahead, Mark.
Okay, well, I don't even, I've been involved in this field so long, I'm not exactly sure where to begin, but you shared, Kelsey, that you were, what you did as a teacher. I started out as a visual arts teacher, believe it or not. And after doing that for 17 years, I started doing PD and curriculum development, ended up being the director of instructional technology for the New York City public school system. Yes, all, at that time, 1,100 schools. And what an interesting ride that was. So I'm semi-retired now, and I'm very active with ISTE. I stepped down from 7 years as president of the Literacy Network. Now I'm co-chair. I needed a little bit of a rest. And what I do now is two things primarily. I teach online graduate courses for two universities, and those courses are for people taking a master's in EdTech leadership. And I also do a lot of writing. You know, I've written 6 books for ISTE and many more, and I do a lot of work with EdTech Digest. And I'm going to talk about EdTech Digest in a little while, but that's enough about me. I'm excited to be here with you all, and I hope to see you guys at FETC. It's going to be a very exciting conference.
Yeah, that's actually a perfect segue, because what I want to do now is just talk a little bit about FETC. So I'm not sure how many of the people who are joining us today will be able to attend FETC, but I'm going to try and make sure to kind of give you an idea of what that experience is going to be like, just in case you're going and you've never been before. When we're at FETC, I'm actually going to be going there with one of my coworkers from BirdBrain, and I'm going to try and make sure to do a couple of live streams as well, so that you can kind of like get the feel of what it is. But as far as what FETC actually is, if I head over to our Google Doc here, you can see I've got a link there. So if you want to click on that, that'll take you to the FETC website. And FETC is the Future of Educational Technology Conference, which is, I think it's kind of like a fancy name of the future of educational technology. But in my experience, and I go to a lot of different conferences, from little ones in sort of middle of nowhere Virginia to big ones in Chicago to ones in California. And this one, which is usually held in Florida in January, the feeling of this conference is like everybody's kind of looking for, they're acknowledging what has educational technology been and where is it now and what's like the next big thing. So there, when you go to a huge conference like this, there is a giant expo hall. This expo hall is like the size of, like, you know, I think they said it's like 8 basketball courts or something. It's a giant hall, and there are these big giant booths everywhere, and there are robotics companies and coding companies and smartboard companies and online learning platforms, and people who will sell you cases for your smart devices and carts for your laptops and just everything you can think of. But this year it's going to be in Miami, Florida, which I'm really excited about. Never been there before. And it's going to be next week, January 14th through the 17th. So if you've never been to FETC before, it's a really exciting place where you're going to see a lot of really cool cutting edge stuff. So that's what FETC is. And you might, if you've never heard of us before, you might be wondering what BirdBrain is. So BirdBrain, that's my company that I work for. BirdBrain Technologies, we're an educational robotics company. So we are, we came out of Carnegie Mellon University, out of the Create Lab. And Tom Lowers, who's our founder and CEO, he was a graduate student at CMU. He's working on his PhD, and he was interested in this question of how do we engage more girls in coding? And a lot of people have been asking that question over the past couple decades, which is a really important question. I'm really glad that people are asking that question. And the solution that he came up with, and there's a few of them, is first, you've got to make coding physical. If you want to get girls engaged, you got to take it off the screen and put it in the real world. So that means robotics. And so we're a robotics company. We make these 2 different robots, the Finch Robot and the Hummingbird Robot. So if you're not super familiar with robotics, it might be useful to first think about what a robot actually is. So this is our model for robotics. A robot is something that senses, thinks, and acts. So with something like this is the Hummingbird Robotics Kit. This is like an open-ended, really creative, flexible kit. You can open it up, and inside, I've actually taken some of the pieces out. Inside there's, you know, all kinds of stuff that comes in this kit. But to break it apart a little bit and to tell you what these pieces are, basically, you've got some sensors that come in the kit, like so. And these sensors gather information in the form of like number data, and they take that number data, and then we're going to do something with it. So they gather number data, like this is a distance sensor, so it gathers how many centimeters away is something. This one's a light sensor, how much light is in the room. This one's a a dial sensor. So it will register 0 to 100% like a volume knob. And this one's a sound sensor, so this one would register sound like that. So it's got sensors that you plug into a board like this. And this does the thinking. So if I zoom in on this a little bit, this is the Hummingbird Robotics board. And this is actually 2 pieces here if I break it apart. We've got the microbit, which is a type of microcontroller like an Arduino, or a lot of small electronic things have some kind of a microcontroller in them. But this one, if I flip it over and bring it a little closer, you might be able to see, actually let's focus down here. It says BBC on it. The BBC Foundation actually makes this microcontroller. And it's a super powerful little computer science tool. Just to talk about this for half a tick, this microbit, it's designed for classrooms, whereas an Arduino is designed for like enthusiasts and people with like basements and like time. This is designed for teachers with like a classroom full of 30 sort of emotional, sweaty 3rd graders. And so this is designed, it's got these A and B buttons you can use as inputs. It's got these LEDs, these are 5 by 5, so 25 LEDs, so you can scroll letters across and things like that. It's also got like an accelerometer, so it knows when it's being tilted. It's got a compass, so it knows what direction it's pointing. Super powerful little computer science tool. But if you want to get into like physical computing and robotics, that's where the Hummingbird comes into place. You can snap your microbit right into your Hummingbird, and you've got all of these ports that are attached to it. Places where you can plug in sensors that come with your kit. And also, if we go back to our model of robotics here, we talked about sensing. This is where the thinking happens. And then your kit also comes with LEDs, which can be a form of action, and also motors, servo motors. So the Hummingbird, at this point, it still kind of looks like a bunch of wires, but the idea of the Hummingbird is that you take those and you combine them with craft supplies, and you can make anything into a robot. So you can hot glue right onto the motors, you can poke a hole and punch your distance sensor through there so that when you get close to the fish, it bites you, or whatever you want to make. We're going to take a closer look at some of those projects back there. But the other idea with this is that we've lowered the floor on how easy it is to do robotics, because the connection is really easy. If you plug things in wrong, you're not going to fry the board or anything like that. But we've also raised the ceiling on what you can do with robotics at a 3rd grade or a middle school or high school level. Because both the Hummingbird and the Finch, which I'm going to show you in just a second, those work with all kinds of different programming devices. So tablets, iPads, Chromebooks, laptops, they work with all of those. And they work with a bunch of different languages. So Snap, MakeCode, BirdBlocks, Python, Java, they work with all of those things. So these are tools that can be used across the district, across grades. And if you want to have an emphasis on that really creative side of robotics, or you want to maybe put robotics into another classroom, like an English classroom or a social studies classroom, the Hummingbird Robotics Kit is really good at that. But that is just one of our things that we make with BirdBrain. The other thing we make, and this one is brand spanking new, is the Finch Robot. So this guy right here, it's kind of got a lot of those same pieces as the Hummingbird. It's got some motors, come in the form of wheels. It's got LEDs in the beak and in the tail back here. It's got a distance sensor you can see here. It's also got some infrared line following sensors on the bottom. It's got some light sensors hidden in there. And then all those features of the microbit, the accelerometer, all that stuff, that just plugs into the tail here. And in the bottom here, this is actually a hole. This is a 3D printed prototype right here, but this is actually a hole where you can put like a marker, like a Crayola marker like this. You'd be able to put that through, and you can see there's a hole on the bottom so that you could like draw with your Finch. And so the sensors that this has got light sensors, distance sensors, line following sensors, and all the things in the tail. So it's got sensors. The thinking, the board is hidden inside, and there's the microbit, and you can see. And the actions are lights in the nose, motors in the wheels, and also both the Hummingbird and the Finch have a buzzer too. So these are 2 different types of, those are the only 2 robots we make. We're a very focused company. We don't have a whole bunch of different pieces of hardware or anything like that. We do two things. This one is more a direct application of computer science. So it takes concepts like loops and variables, parallel programming, stuff like that. It takes those concepts and lets you just sort of plug and play and start using those concepts in a really easy way. And the Hummingbird, we say, is good for like 4th grade and up because it can use text-based coding, high-level coding, use block-based coding, which is like elementary and middle school level. But this guy also does icon-based programming. So that means that you can program it with some even simpler blocks. I'm actually going to show you an example of that. Since this guy's brand new, since not very many people have seen it yet, I'm going to open this application called Finch Blocks. So if I zoom in on Finch Blocks here, you can see how simple this programming language is. So this is level 1 of Finch Blocks. So first I'm going to connect to my Finch. See how it's flashing 3 letters back here? I don't know if you can see them. It says FAC. That stands for Flying Amber Cat. That's the name of this Finch. So that's how you can find your Finch in a classroom full of Finches. And then in my programming language here, this is where I'm going to create a little algorithm. So I'm going to make my Finch move forward. I'm going to make it turn to the left. And see, these icons don't have any words or numbers on them. So kindergartners and pre-readers can be using this. I'm going to make the beak turn red. I'm going to make the tail turn green. And then I'm going to make it play a couple notes. So let me actually, here we go. Oh, let me focus my camera real quick here. There we go. There's my little Finchy. Great. So I'm going to do, let's see. There we go. So now you're going to get to see my iPad roll, and you're going to get to see my Finch move as well on my 2 different cameras. So here we go. Ready, set, run the program. And so you can see as the Finch runs through its program, I'll scooch it a little bit. There's the nose. Then went the tail. As it's running through the program, let me do that one more time so you can see it a little bit better. It's also lighting up the part of the algorithm that it's doing. So as opposed to like another robot, sometimes like I've used B-bots before, which are pretty cool little robots. You kind of like punch in your sequence that you want it to do, and then it goes and does it. The thing that I really like about Finch is that it lights up the step of the algorithm that it's on. But this is also a leveled program for your Finch. So you could also like go up to level 3, and in level 3 you can say, I want it to go 30 centimeters at 100% speed. So it's giving you some more control. I want it to turn, now watch this icon here. I don't want it to turn 90 degrees. I want it to turn all the way around 180 degrees. So it's building that angle knowledge for students at 50%. And then I want it to be pink for 0.1 of a second. No, I want it to be pink for half a second. There we go. Let's see how what this algorithm looks like. Okay, ready, set, run it. It's gonna go forward 30 centimeters. Oh, it's hopping the lane here. It's gonna turn around, and then the nose went pink for half a second. There we go. So this is a leveled program too. So this can take your students from pre-K and kindergarten up through about 3rd or 4th grade, and then you can switch over to block-based coding like Snap or MakeCode, or BirdBlocks is a free app that we've got. And then this can also transition up into high school and do Python and Java too. So with this one little tool, this is a K-12 robotics tool in a way that there's nothing else out there that does that icon-based, block-based, and text-based capability. And this is something that like a high schooler would not like turn their nose up to program. You know, it doesn't look like a little kitty, right? So that's just an overview of what we do here at BirdBrain as far as the hardware goes. But we're not just a hardware company. We're an educational robotics company, not just a robotics company, because we also offer all sorts of printable materials, digital materials, and professional development. That's what I do with the company. So I provide professional development workshops, online webinars, and live stream learning, things like this, to help teachers take these hardware tools and turn them into classroom projects. All right. So we talked a little bit about what BirdBrain is, what Hummingbird and Finch are. And now I just want to tell you about some of the things that we're going to be doing at FETC, and then I'm going to kick it over to Mark, and he's going to tell you what he's going to be up to at FETC. So if I go back to our document here, if I scroll down, and I say BirdBrain at FETC, there's a link here that'll take you to a page where all of the events that I'm about to talk about are all available there, so that you can click on them and register for any of the things that we're doing, including this webinar right here. Ta-da, it's right there. All right, but here's the things we're going to be doing at FETC. Let me bring these a little closer, if I can reach them. There we go. Okay, so the first one is we're going to be doing a workshop called Equity Through Creative Robotics, and that's going to be that first day of FETC before the booths and the exhibitor hall even opens. I'm really excited about that workshop. I'm going to have, it's going to be just me there, and we're going to be talking about how when you teach robotics, when you teach computer science, when you teach something innovative like that, I think you have to keep equity in mind at the beginning when you're starting to plan how you're going to teach this. For example, I worked with a teacher who I taught her how to use a Hummingbird. She was really excited. She taught a summer camp with it. She had like 45-minute sessions with groups of kids. And the project that she did was a superhero project, and the kids could pick from 4 different superheroes that they could make light up. And the superheroes were Superman and Batman and the Green Lantern and Wonder Woman. So there was like 1 female superhero, there were no superheroes of color, and even in this like really sort of subtle way, she had construction paper and felt and stuff over on the side for the kids to work with. And she was like, and we've got purple if you want to make their suit purple or green, and we've got skin colored felt over there, and the skin color was like this color, and I was like, oh no. Like the kids that you may be wanting to engage most, that may be, you know, kids with a different skin color or girls, they're not feeling very invited to this robotics party right now because you're teaching and you're doing a project that's not inviting them in. So she was teaching 4 sessions that day, and I went to observe her. And in between the first one and the second one, I was like, is there a reason they can only pick from these 4? Or could they pick any superhero like the Black Panther or, you know, the female Captain Marvel or anything? She was like, oh yeah, I guess they could pick anything. Great, just opening it up and giving some more choice. Or could they invent their own? And so by the 4th session, we had this 3rd grade girl who invented a superhero who could talk to animals. And she had pink lights coming out of her hands, and like, yes, she loved that day. She was so into that. So we're going to be talking about how to use creative robotics as a vehicle for equity, rather than as, if we're not thinking about equity from the very beginning, it can sometimes be a way to just kind of like entrench existing inequities. And it's going to be a hands-on session. We're going to be building with the Hummingbird Robotics Kit. Also on Tuesday, same day, I'm going to get to do a playground with Tech-Terra, who's one of our partners. It's called the Mobile Mega Share. And I really like how they're structuring this playground. A lot of time playgrounds, you just sort of like wander around and that looks cool, that looks cool. But teachers have a lot of bags and stuff that they're carrying around with them. And they're hesitant to like sit down and make with you. But at this playground, we get half-an-hour sessions with, like, so you rotate around. Ooh, I have to sneeze. Coming, it'll happen. Sorry. Whew, that's so embarrassing. Okay, look at the light. Ah, there it goes. Sorry, guys. But at this playground, you find a group that you want to sit down with, and then you sit down with them and you make something with them for half an hour. So last year, like Sphero was there. Last year, we made these funky little cutlery characters out of like plastic cutlery. And so you get to sit down for half an hour, and then you rotate, and in between every rotation, they raffle something off. And so we're raffling off a Hummingbird kit. So you'll have a chance to win that if you'd like. So definitely stop by that one. If you're part of FETC, it's free to attend. If you have if you're registered for FETC, it's free to attend, and you could win stuff, which will be really fun. On Wednesday, that's when our booth opens up. We're going to be at booth 3236, and it's going to be myself and my coworker, Greg Russick. He's new to BirdBrain. He's a really knowledgeable guy. He's really invested in this ed tech space, and he's sort of helping us scale things out. So I'd love for you to come by and meet Greg while you're there. And then one of my favorite events that we do at any conference, we're going to be doing a Bots and Bevs on Wednesday evening, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Abbey Brewing Company. You might be wondering, what is a Bots and Bevs? Well, let me show you. A Bots and Bevs is this. So I bring a 6-pack holder, a few of them, full of craft supplies, and hummingbirds, and I'm also going to bring finches. This will be one of our first Bots and Bevs with finches, the new ones too. You can see these people made a catapult. They almost got it in the cup there, but we grab some beverages of whatever style and persuasion you enjoy, and we make little robots. Sometimes we dance. And they're so fun. It's an informal way. It'll be a couple hours long. They made a high-fiveable little robot there. So this one is actually from a couple of these are from FETC last year. And so share a couple beverages. You'll meet other, like, the kinds of educators who come to these Bots and Bevs, like, they're the coolest people. So you'll meet other cool educators. I think that's one of my favorite things about conferences, actually. I think you get really special teachers who kind of feel like unicorns in their school, and there's nobody that they can really swap ideas with. You will meet such cool educators at these Bots and Bevs. You'll share a cider, you'll share a Diet Pepsi, perhaps you'll share a brew of some sort or a mixed cocktail. We'll eat some appetizers, we'll get our fingers all greasy, and then we'll make some robots, and it'll be a really fun time. So that is our Bots and Bevs event, which is going to be on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, we're doing something brand new. We've never tried this before, but I'm joining you from the live stream learning studio. And something that, one thing that's new this year that we're sharing at FETC is the Finch Robot 2.0. Another thing new that we're sharing is our capability to do professional development. So we call this our live stream learning studio. We've got all these cameras, got this cool sound equipment. You can't see it all, but there's like a lot of equipment in here to make me look like I've slept for 8 hours. That's what this is all for. But this live stream learning studio, I'm one person at this company, and I'm the only person who travels and does professional development. And we're very quickly getting to the point where I just can't be in more than one place at once. If you figure that out, let me know. But if I'm in California doing professional development, or if I'm in Florida at a conference, I can't be at your school teaching your teachers how to use this. So this live stream learning studio makes me able to join your teachers. Picture you've got a finch in front of you, or you've got a hummingbird in front of you, and I'm showing you how to get in there and plug in this, that, and the other thing, and you're doing that, and maybe we've got multiple teachers at your school joining from different schools or different rooms. We're all holding up LEDs blinking across your district or across your state. So this studio allows us to reach a much wider audience, still in a really personal way, because I can be connecting with you, you can be seeing what I'm doing, I can be showing you all these cool projects and taking those down off the shelf. So we're actually going to be doing this live stream learning broadcast to our booth from here. So I'm going to be at the booth. My coworker Matt, who has a fabulous beard, he will be streaming live to us at the booth, and we'll be streaming live to him from FETC. So if you want to come see what that experience might be like at the booth, or if you want to bring a friend who couldn't see this today, we're going to be doing that on Thursday a couple of times. So those are all the events that we're going to be doing at FETC. I'm really excited about them, but we also have a few partners and friends that are going to be doing some things as well. So I'm going to hand it over to Mark now, and he's going to be talking about a panel discussion that he will be leading. Go for it, Mark.
Okay, so now how am I going to share this PDF that's on? I'm going to click on share.
Yes, yes, you will.
And okay.
There you go.
All right. Okay, so
Perfect.
before I go into my spiel, I want to say I'm really enjoying your webinar. What a great set you guys have.
Thank you.
I wasn't prepared for that. And I'll add that I've always thought that school/education really must mirror the real world.
Mhm.
And the whole thing about school being a kind of, I'll call it a contrived alternate reality, other than what goes on in the real world. Now, I feel that what kids learn and the way they learn has to mirror the world they're living in and going to work in, and that's my favorite reason for teaching computer science. Okay, so one little correction, Kelsey.
Oh.
And so in my life, because I'm semi-retired and only working 50 hours a week,
Only 50.
I wear numerous hats. So my work with ISTE is one. My graduate teaching is another. My writing is another. And so the Literacy Professional Learning Network of ISTE will be out at FETC in full force. My co-chair will be offering a session as well, Michelle Eichen. But the panel I'm going to talk about in a minute is really from EdTech Digest. And so I want to mention this special report that we put out a couple of months ago. Now, Kelsey, you know that when I was cruising around, I guess it was FETC 1 or 2 years ago, and I saw the booth for BirdBrain, I kind of fell in love all over again. I had been familiar with BirdBrain. And, I mentioned before, I started out as a visual arts teacher. I mean, there's a solid connection there. The literacy connection that you were showing was inspiring. Using the creation of original student robots to illustrate literary works that the kids are reading and studying. Brilliant. And so BirdBrain is one of many companies and providers of robotics resources that appears in that special report. It's 90 pages and it's a free download. And you can help me figure out how I'm going to share this PDF of notes later. But anyhow, BirdBrain is throughout the report as well. And so if you're listening and you want you really want a free book on how robotics fits into the world of learning, student robotics, that end of it, I'm going to highly recommend this 90-page report. And so now that I've gotten that off my chest, let me talk about this panel that we're going to be giving. So the title is Welcome to the Probing Edge, Looking at Education's Future Today. And so, yeah, it's all about the future of education, but a particular angle at it. We're looking at the near future, the things that our audience, probably the audience of the webinar, and certainly the audience of the session we're giving, are going to be experiencing in a year. Maybe they're experiencing already. The things we're talking about are picking up more and more momentum. So it is the future today. And we have 3 panelists, and I'll share that with you in a minute. Here's the description, but I'll just point out the last line, which I like a lot. Caution, colleagues hopeful of a continuing status quo may find this session unsettling. So we're going to have fun with the future, but we're also going to look at the way things are changing in the near future. And so the panelists will be Rochelle Dienpoth. Now, Rochelle is the president of the Professional Learning Network of ISTE. She's a teacher and she's an author of numerous books. And she'll be talking about the evolution of connected professional development. You know, in my graduate courses, I have a devil of a time because these are inner city teachers who don't have the full benefit of what many of the smaller, more well-heeled districts have. And to them, professional development is still face-to-face workshops only.
Yeah.
So, and we all know that reality is moving. So Rochelle's going to talk about that. Also, Don Wettrick, who he was a teacher, he's an author. He's done a lot of great work on teaching innovation. And he recently left teaching and has become the CEO of the Start Ed Up Foundation. And he'll be talking about curriculum for today's students and where we're heading in curriculum to a large degree is innovation. And his particular slant on this is entrepreneurship. Students actually making things happen in the real world. And I'll be talking about robotics, but not the student robotics. I'm going to be talking about, and by the way, I'm still working on my presentation. What I'm going to call we all are, right. And that's a wonderful thing because we're still absorbing information and I don't know about you, Kelsey, but I can sit up bolt upright in the middle of the night and have my next bullet, my next talking point. And that's because we're passionate about this stuff. I should mention, I've been tracking student robotics for 25 years. And when I was with the New York City Board of Ed, I was put in charge, or I was told to make happen the first citywide robotics program. So it's a great passion of mine. And much of that, those 25 years of experience and reflection are in that report. But anyhow, you know, it's an interesting thing. Now stop me if I get too chatty, Kelsey, and I'll cut it short. But I think maybe another 5 minutes will be worthwhile.
Perfect.
So, you know, it's interesting that the publisher of EdTech Digest asked me to do a piece on teaching robots that teach, about 6 months ago, and I kind of deflected it. I just said, no, I'm into things like BirdBrain and Finch and others. This is something else. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized, no, I really need to turn some attention to this too. So teaching robots, it's an old idea. It's an old idea that won't go away. There's something very appealing about it. And of course, we used to laugh at this. Yeah. We're not laughing so much anymore. Anyhow, this wonderful illustration is from the animated TV show, The Jetsons, from 1963. That's a long time ago. So it was very safe to engage in what I'll call science/education fiction then. But this is an idea that has persisted. It fascinates people. Could we have robots that teach kids? And I think I'll come back to this one in a minute, but this is the idea. And, you know, most of us haven't seen this in action, at least not as humanoid robots over here in the US. But this is actually a much more popular idea in Europe and especially in Asia. And here you're looking at a group of kids, I think it's in China. And so I don't know that this has become common there, but it's an effort that pops up again and again and again, this fascination with, can we have robots teach kids? And so one of the points I'll be making and we'll be discussing in depth is robots don't have to be humanoid robots, or it doesn't have to be R2-D2. Amazon's Alexa, Apple's Siri, Google's Home, and they call it a smart speaker. and many more, they function as digital assistants, and they interact with the human clients as robots. And I'm thinking about that little graphic you put up, the logical flow of a robot: sense, think, act. That's very much present in these. So, there's pushback from education. And, it's not news that things gain their traction in our world of schooling slowly, and they happen outside school more quickly. So one of the things we'll be looking at is this family of robots, which is starting to become very popular. Here's one that I think is particularly interesting. It's called Miko 2. It's the second one they put out. And, I'll leave a link to this video. Would be well worth everyone's time to check this out. This robot really is a companion. It's a tutor, and kids can program it in a sense as well. And I think that there's going to be a lot of interest in this, and it's for sale right now, and has great appeal to kids and their parents. And one of the reasons I include this is whether teachers get on board with this now or not, this digital assistant, digital companion aspect of robotics, it's going to happen outside of school. Parents are going to get these for their kids. Take a look at the video. The way they've humanized it is fascinating. So anyhow, a couple of other quick things, and then I'll leave you with a few thoughts. Here's something that fascinates me. Alexa, well, many of us are familiar with Alexa. I think my wife is playing with Alexa right now in the living room. And we've heard about teachers using Alexa and Siri in the classroom. Some have. But that trend is picking up momentum too. Here's a university, St. Louis University. They have these all throughout campus for students to use in their studies. They're great for informal research, and to kind of as retrieval robots. Find me the thing I was working on yesterday. I mean, that's more Siri, but there's a lot of use for students and teachers in this. Anyhow, this university has decided to place one in every dorm room they have. So this is definitely picking up great momentum. And of course, I don't even know where this idea ever came from. Probably 3 or 4 articles a week, and certainly Facebook posts pop into my screen. Technology will never replace teachers. But I don't think anyone ever said it would. That was never the point. Anyhow, I want to wrap this up because I've been talking maybe more than you wanted me to.
Oh, this has been great.
Okay, well, one of the things I just did was publish on the ISTE Literacy Network's blog an article about this woman who's a literacy coach in Brooklyn, in an inner city middle school in Brooklyn. And there she is working with the kids. And she posed a whole raft of questions to these kids about how would you feel living with a Miko robot, a personal digital companion, tutor, learning assistant. How would you feel having this in your classroom? How would you feel having a robot as your channel, on and on? Now, again, she's a literacy coach. She works with literacy, and in that school, literacy and social studies are closely intertwined. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to offer this article as a fascinating glimpse into doing something I think is really important, and I haven't heard much talk about. And that really is a discussion we're going to be beginning at our panel session It's what needs to be done by educators about this. Well, for one thing, they need to know that all of this is going on. I just showed you a bunch of what I'll call dots. And a lot of the audience will be familiar maybe with Alexa, maybe with Siri, maybe they didn't know about the Asians using teaching robots, maybe but what we need to do is to start connecting these dots and looking at a cohesive picture out of all of this. That's kind of what I'm doing in some of the pieces I'm working on for EdTech Digest. We need to inform ourselves about how to use them, and you'll find some of that in the article too. Now here's something that
have you wrap up in about. Is that okay?
Oh yeah, I'll be out of here in a minute. But this is from the Siri website, Apple Siri website. So they catalog all of these uses for Siri as a robot, and yet that's not appearing in what kids are learning about. In a sense, I think we need to start modeling how real robots in the real world play out in our lives. I'm totally on board, you know about it, with the student robotics, things like Finch and BirdBrain. I love it, but I think we need to go further. So I'll leave this with two thoughts. One, why isn't there a teaching learning robot used in the core curriculum instructional context in every classroom? We really need to make that happen. And if you email me, and or I guess I'll leave this with you, but this set of notes that I just presented, and it's denser than what I've gotten to, is available for the audience. I'd love to send it to you. So I'll leave it there.
A link to that PDF. I dropped it in our Google Doc. So.
Thank you. Okay. So that's what's on my mind and what we'll be doing at FETC, as well as going to Bots and Bev.
Fantastic.
I'll see you there.
If you can stop sharing your screen, then I'll take back over here.
I'm not sure I know how to do that.
Where you share your screen before, just say unshare, I think.
I don't see an icon for that. I can close this document. I could try that.
At the very bottom of your Zoom screen, or probably up at the top, is
oh yeah, okay. Well, it says new share.
Or stop share.
Well, it says new share. I'm going to press that. I think.
Note though.
Did I destroy your webinar, Kelsey?
You did not. No. I actually may be spotlighted for others. I'm not sure. But just in case I am, just to head back to our Google Doc briefly. At the bottom of our Google Doc, I've got, and I'm gonna mute that. At the bottom of our Google Doc, I have my contact information, and also just like some other information about how BirdBrain might be able to support you or interact with you during FETC. Number one is, if you're going to FETC and you want to meet up with me while you're there, then there's a link where it says sign up to meet with Kelsey in person at FETC. We can just schedule a 15-minute meeting, probably at my booth, but I can also meet you anywhere kind of in the convention center. So if you want to meet with me, or especially if you've got like a team that's coming to FETC, if you guys want to, oops, sorry. There we go. Got it. So if you're coming to FETC and you want to meet with me, especially if you've got a team and you'd like to talk about professional development, you'd like to talk about getting this hardware in your school, thinking about how we could scale this across your organization, your state, etc. You can meet with me at FETC, or if you're not going to FETC, you can always just schedule a phone or a video chat with me or my team. There's a link to do that here. And also, if you want to borrow a Hummingbird kit, like so, we give out 2-month loans of this thing. So if you want to borrow this for 2 months and see what you can do with it, we offer free loans and we pay for shipping within the contiguous United States. We'll offer a 2-month loan so that you can try it out, try to build something, get familiar with some of our resources, and try that out and share it with your colleagues or with your students as well. So that's all on there, as well as my contact info. And I'd also totally recommend that if you're on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, that you follow at BirdBrain Tech, because they're always doing and tweeting out cool things. And if you are interested in what I tweet out, I always tweet out projects that the people in my workshops do together. So that's at Kelsey Connects. And so, for example, the workshop that we did yesterday, I've sent some tweets last night, but the workshop we did yesterday, I was telling you it was a annual Rose Bowl parade. Up first, we have the Hopeful Playground. These are Rose Bowl parade floats that we made using the Hummingbird. They've got some safety features on them. You can see the distance sensor on there, so if anything gets too close to it, the Rose Parade float will stop. Some of them got a little off track. They had trouble rolling straight. But each of them had a concept to it. This one that you're seeing now, this one was the light at the end of the tunnel, was the concept for that one. This one was called Sunrise, and they had a cool little mechanism in there. So if you're ever interested in seeing all the cool things that we do in the workshops that I teach, you can follow me on Twitter as well. But all of that information is at the bottom of that Google Doc too. So thank you all so much for joining us today with our last 5 minutes or so. If anybody has any questions, feel free to either type those into the chat feature or unmute yourself and ask away. Mark and I are here at your disposal for 5 whole minutes. I did say that I would take one of these projects off of the shelf and show you two. I'm going to show you one of my favorite ones. It's going to take me like 1 minute to get it down and plug it into a battery pack. But I'm going to take down this this map up here, and I'm going to show you what it is. Do this. I'm going to refocus it slightly. Okay. Grab a little battery pack. Show you what it does. Oh, I'm going to turn this down. Now you'll be able to see some of the colors. Okay, so this is a map of, and this is like a social studies project. This is a map showing monarch butterfly migration by generation. I'm going to turn the lights down just a little bit more so you can see it a little bit better. Okay, so you can see the colors of the lights now. There you go. So I did not know this. I knew that monarch butterflies migrated from Mexico to Canada, but I did not realize it took them 3 generations to get from Mexico all the way up to Canada. And so each generation, first generation, second generation, third generation, is shown by a different color of LED. So the first generation is down here in Mexico and they're red. The second generation are these yellow lights, and then the green ones are up here. But we do have a quick question about bots and bevs. You can check that out for a second. When we do bots and bevs, do we have a list of supplies we put in the 6-pack containers? Oh, yeah. So if you just email me, which is kelsey@birdbraintechnologies.com, I can email you that list of supplies. We get like a 6-pack holder from Amazon. I put some cups inside of it. We do plastic cutlery, craft sticks, pipe cleaners, scissors, tape, and straws. That's what we put out. So there's no hot glue, there's no cutting boards or anything like that. And I'm always just totally amazed by what people come up with when they've had a beverage. They always come up with great things. But I want to show you another feature of this map as well. It's got a sensor that I built into it too. So if I switch the mode that it's in, there we go. I'm going to come around this way. I'm just going to spotlight this video right here so we can see the whole thing. Because this, this sensor here, I'm going to start it out. See how it says like March, April, May, June, July? This shows the time of year that the butterflies are in the different parts of the United States. So as I turn my dial, you can see what time of year each generation of the butterflies is in there. And I was able to just sort of switch the mode that it was in. Around this way. There we go. So this is an awesome social studies project that just uses one sensor and a bunch of lights to really deeply integrate social studies and robotics together. So I'll turn my light back up here. Go. And hop back to this video. But anyway, I just wanted to, I told you I'd take a project off the shelf and show you, so I wanted to follow through on that. But if anybody has any questions, like Dawn, if you want to just email me, I'll write a note to remember to email you and just give you a list of the craft supplies that I bring to a Bots and Bevs. I think it can be just a super powerful way to interact with a community. I've done Bots and Bevs with school districts before. I worked with a school district in Downingtown, Pennsylvania, and they did a Bots and Bevs at a little like Mexican cantina, and they had a bus, a STEM bus that they were advertising, and they wanted the members of the community to meet the teacher who was going to be driving the bus around to the different elementary schools. And so that was how they did it. We built robots, and they met their sort of Miss Frizzle, if you're familiar with the Magic School Bus. She was going to be like the STEM school bus teacher. So that was a great way to promote STEM in the community too. So, all right, well, if there are no other questions, I want to say a huge thank you to Mark. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. It was wonderful to hear from you. Your perspective is always interested in what you're thinking about, honestly.
See you at FETC.
Yes, sir.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. Me too. Hopefully I'll see some of you at FETC and at our events as well. And I will end our broadcast today just putting our events up here. That can be our screen capture that we do for the end of the day. There we go. So there's all the cool things we're going to be doing. All right. Hope I see you all there. Thanks so much for joining me, everybody. Thank you, Annabelle. Really nice to meet you. Thanks for joining from Portugal. Wow. Thanks, Cynthia. Thanks, Dawn. Thanks, Clement. All right, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thanks, everybody. Bye.